Did you know that according to the British Journal of Sports Medicine's article titled Injuries Among Weightlifters and Powerlifters, a Systematic Review, the injury incidence in weightlifting was 2.4 to 3.3 injuries per 1,000 hours of training? And this is for experienced people. So imagine what it would be for inexperienced people. This means that even the highly trained people have a possibility of getting hurt. This is why being well informed about weightlifting can help you achieve higher goals as well as preventing injury. The lift that causes the most injuries is the barbell squat. So when you're doing this, consider if you're even doing the squat correctly. Proper squat form is important because doing it wrong can lead to potential injuries. In the February 9, 2017 article titled How to Squat, Proper Barbell Squat Technique, the Australian Fitness Academy states that the squat is one of the most difficult to learn and get right as it can cause injuries if not done correctly. Just from personal experience, I can say that this is true because I used to always squat wrong, which led me to pulling my muscle and getting injured a week before I had a competition. And this also just affected my recovery time as well because I had to do also cheerleading. So with that, it was just hard. It took me way longer to recover, and it was just harder overall to do things. So I would just say, learn how to do it right to prevent this. Also, keep in mind that when you start to fix your form, start with a lighter weight or the bar. What I did was I started with the bar and then slowly progressed with more weight over time once I was able to figure out how to do it correctly. Because if you put a heavier amount of weight, you have a risk of getting injured with like a more severe injury than if you would put a lighter weight or just the bar. Also, you won't gain anything from doing it wrong. Just from personal experience, I can say that whenever I used to squat, I would always do it wrong, which led me to having a sore lower back after I finished all the time. And also, I would just never feel the burn on my legs, which obviously you're supposed to. And since I wasn't, I knew I was doing it wrong. But after I practiced, after I started to recover, I practiced with just the bar. And then when I got the hang of that, I added more weight, and slowly I was able to get from 230 pounds to 280 pounds. In his February 8th, 2022 article titled How to Master the Barbell Squat Rack, Joe Warner describes that this exercise places significant strain on the quads, hamstrings, and glutes, making it one of the greatest bang for your buck exercises known to man. It also strengthens the joints, ligaments, and tendons around the knee and hips. These are just a few advantages of learning how to do it correctly, but also if you just don't feel those muscles working, you know you're doing it wrong. You need to know the correct placement of the bar in order to know how to perform the exercise correctly. Learning the proper placement of your body is also essential to performing the proper squat technique. So the first thing that you should learn is the placement of your feet because this determines the depth of your squat. The Australian Fitness Academy suggests that your toes should be turned out approximately 10 to 15 degrees. Your knees should be slightly flexed, and this will enable a strong and stable starting position. This also determines if your hips will sink down low enough because when you point your feet out at that angle, it actually opens your legs more, and that way you have more room to actually sink your hips down. Because a lot of people don't do that, or they do it way too far, which pushes your hips down lower. And again, when you max out, that also affects how much weight you're actually going to be able to push up, because if you spread your legs out too much, it can cause all of the weight to just sink down, and then you probably won't be able to pick it up as fast. Whereas if you have that shoulder width stance and your toes pointed out, it actually makes a big difference. The next thing that you should know is the placement of the bar on your traps. This determines the stability of the squat, because if you don't place the bar correctly, you can injure your neck and your spine. The Australian Fitness Academy also points out that you may have noticed people using a towel or padding while carrying out this movement, and while it can make the exercise more comfortable, it can also add some stability issues. With padding, the weight is allowed to rock due to less contact with the body. The placement of your head and torso is also important. You may not have thought of this, but it actually determines whether the exercise will be pain-free, because this minor fix makes a big difference. If you don't have your head in the correct position, it can cause your shoulders to rotate, and it can also cause you to arch your back, I know a lot of people, they like to put padding because they're like, oh, my neck hurts, or like it just hurts when I put the bar on my neck. But you're actually supposed to sink it down lower. It's supposed to sit on your trap, so it shouldn't even be up there. But also, just when you move your head, once it's sitting on your traps, if you move your head, it just causes your shoulders to rotate. And once you rotate your shoulders, the weight becomes uneven. And once you have that point of being unbalanced, it can cause your spine to arch. And when you have a big load on your back and all that weight pushing down on your spine, you can get injured that way as well. A good way to fix it is just to look at a fixed point on the wall throughout your entire workout when you squat. And this way you can prevent your head from moving into different directions. Werner recommends that if you want to lift as much weight as possible and reduce the risk of injury, keep your chest up throughout the move. If you drop your chest, your spine will flex, and that's not a great thing when you have a heavy load on your back. One thing that will help you keep your chest in the right place is taking a deep breath before you lift and holding the air in your lungs as you lower. So once you know the placement of your body and the bar, you can actually proceed to do the exercise for yourself. So step one, go ahead and place the bar on your traps. Once you lift it up, position your feet shoulder width apart, toes pointed out. And then step three, you're gonna actually descend your body and you're gonna start to go halfway into the squat. When squatting, Werner suggests to slowly lower your body until your quads are parallel to the floor or even a little lower, keeping your chest up and your back straight. Also remember to keep your eyes fixed on a point throughout the entire workout. And Werner also highlights that you should keep your weight on your heels as you drive back up. It's very important at the end of the exercise to exhale. A lot of people, they will either hold their breath all the way throughout the entire thing, or they'll hyperventilate, but this isn't good because it can actually cause you to faint because you're not getting enough oxygen into your head, to your brain. And so just remember to inhale and hold when you go down and exhale as you drive back up. So you should be able to feel the right muscles working at the end of your squat. And your form might not be perfect the first time, but just remember to keep practicing with it because it might take a while. Also, just remember that when you're practicing, keep the bar, practice with the bar or with a lighter weight than you're used to, because this way you can prevent injuries. And over time, you will notice growth and improvement in your muscles. Proper form is important because it can prevent future injuries and it can increase muscle growth, and this will all lead to a higher max.